Rahul, first of all, thank you so much for agreeing to do this interview with the Health Club. And I hope that this conversation today helps students and young professionals around India, around the world, who are still trying to find the right career path for themselves, and even those who have just entered the field of healthcare consulting, or someone who is trying to explore or planning to explore this area. But before we begin and dive into the questions, I'd like to ask you to kindly introduce yourself to the audience. What you have done, what you do, and where you're from.
Okay, so first of all, thank you so much for the opportunity, and I really wish this interview is of some help to the young professionals and the ones who really want to get into the consulting. And my all best wishes are with them. And if about me, I'm Rahul Pathak. I'm a professional and educational background. I would say I did my B.Pharm and MBA in Pharmaceutical Management from Nashik, Mumbai. Thereafter, I joined an Indian pharma company. I was into their marketing department. I was handling their diabetes portfolio, and I did that for around 1.5 years. And then I moved to GS Associates back in 2013, which is my current company, so more than a decade now. Yeah, and here I would say this is healthcare consulting and pharma business research, which I am doing, and in a way this is a field that actually gives me immense pleasure because here I am sort of with my team solving problems of healthcare companies, and healthcare is one thing which touches everyone. And solving problems again with the team gives me that pleasure that is really, I would say, gives me that kick. And so journey has been really great so far, and hoping the same for coming many years.
Thank you. Let's begin.
Okay, so healthcare consulting. There are two components. One is healthcare, another is consulting. So there are two fields, right? And both are amazing. I'll go one by one. Healthcare. Why healthcare? Now, there are so many fields, right? Media, maybe IT, and likewise this is healthcare. Now, one thing that amazes me in healthcare is like when you are in this field, you are getting to know a lot of stuff about diseases, about treatment, right? This is one thing that is actually apart from professional. Personally, it can help you. For example, whenever there is any disease in the family or friends, you are the one who now can understand the medical language, the treatment, right? Though you are not a doctor, but you can understand, right? So this is in a way such a great thing, right? To happen with anyone. So this is healthcare. Now comes the consulting. If I talk about consulting, as a human who we are the problem solvers, right? Since the childhood, we have been solving one or the other problem, right? And this all gives us that adrenaline rush, right? That happiness, that worthiness, right? In consulting also you are doing the same, right? You are solving the problems of your clients, right? With some data, information, right? So in a way, problem comes to you, and you start with your team finding the right solution. Eventually, you give that solution, the client becomes happy, you become happy, and this is from the healthcare, which anyways is helping you. So it's a win-win, it's a complete set of, I would say, accomplishment that gives you, right? So that's why healthcare consulting. Okay, healthcare consulting in totality.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would say healthcare, anything that can help anyone achieve their health, restore their health, that is healthcare. Like majority of us might be thinking that only drugs or pharma is healthcare. We are in a way right, but not 100% right, because drugs make just one major part, but there are other components as well. For example, when we fall ill, we take drugs, and drugs are being manufactured and marketed by pharma companies. So that is one part, right? So we do that, pharma consulting in a way. Then there is another part. Right now, every one of us may be in a way connected to or achieving health through some digital means like watch or some tracker, right? This is a digital connected thing, right? So again, this is one another component. Third component could be like we have seen when COVID hit us, nebulizers, right? And then there are so many other devices through which we can achieve health. That is another industry, right? Medical devices.
Yeah.
That is also healthcare, right? And then in a way, wellness, we talk about corporate wellness, prevention, right? Softwares, everything can be considered under healthcare. So this is one part from an industry perspective. The other part is like, who are the folks who work in healthcare consulting? Now we can assume that okay, majority of these could be the folks who are having any pharma background or a medical background. Again, we are right, but to just some extent, right? You see all the apps being used by doctors, physicians, doctors, patients, right? Who are building these apps, right? Maybe pharma folks, maybe some tech guys, right? So they are also contributing in healthcare. Same goes in the consulting, the data. Like suppose the conference happens, and there are so many conferences. Now the pharma companies try to bring the best or the most crucial information out of these conferences, and they want to use this information to educate the physicians in the least possible amount in time, so that eventually the patient gets the benefit, right? Now to do that, there is a lot of tech involved, right? And so comes the consulting part through tech, right? So these guys are not generally pharma people. They are the one with the tech background, right? So they are building those dashboards, pulling information from multiple sources, right? So that is equally important. And another part is social listening, right? What physicians are saying, what patients are needing, right? What is the unmet need? How can we probably bring this from this vast amount of information that exists on social media platforms? So again, that is taking out and then making decisions based out of that information is something which comes into healthcare consulting.
Yeah, I agree. And I think in today's time, especially, the need for healthcare consulting is immense, given the fact that we are destroying our own lives in a way. We are giving birth to so many lifestyle diseases. I mean, if you look back 20, 30 years ago, I mean, most of these diseases didn't even exist. And yeah, so like we have given birth to these diseases in a way over the years due to our own lifestyle that we usually follow today.
Right. There are two components. One definitely is this one. The other is we didn't know at that point in time that we are suffering, right? So right now, obviously, our lifestyle is not that great that if we compare with the previous times. But equally important is like earlier we were not aware as well. Many folks died without knowing that they were suffering from this disease, right? So from the consulting part and from the pharma perspective, another equally important thing that is there and we try solving for this issue is like, how can we make people realize that they are suffering, right? When they know, then the treatment can make them better. If they do not know, then nothing can help, right? So there is one concept called as prevalence. Prevalence is like how many folks are suffering from that particular disease, and another thing is called as diagnosed prevalence. Like how many are actually diagnosed with that particular disease, and there could be an undiagnosed prevalence as well. So again, diagnosed prevalence. So that is one part. Another part is like, yes, we are suffering. We now know that we are suffering. Now what is best for us, right? From a physician's perspective, what is the best treatment? Now things have changed. Earlier there were, from a treatment perspective, if I say, there was a problem of scarcity, right? People are suffering and we do not have the treatment. Now the problem is not of scarcity, it's the problem of plenty. From a physician's perspective, right? Patient is suffering and I have so many options to really use. One is better in this term, another is better in that term, right? What to use for what, right? Who will be benefited out of which treatment, right? That is again, in a way, such as you have to really think it is a web diagram, right? Patient with this particular disease, with this sort of biomarkers, with this sort of lifestyle and this sort of age and all other factors, this could be this percent better, right? Now, how you can decide? Now, to solve this is again a very important problem. There are so many treatment pathways and everything. there comes the role of consulting to make it really better and easier for a physician to decide, right? So like this is again, like we started with like what is healthcare consulting and what it encompasses. I think this is really a broad term, right?
Completely.
Okay, so again, pharmaceutical business research, 3 words, right? Research in pharmaceutical, we generally think that okay, this is R&D, research and development, which is like bringing the new drugs and testing and then introducing in the market. That is R&D. We are talking about pharmaceutical business research. In a way, it is secondary research or maybe primary research, right? And if you say research, we all do research, right? Which is not R&D. This research, taking an example, suppose we consider ourselves as someone who are into business research, right? And there's a client who asks us that okay, that they want to understand or buy a particular sound bar, right? And we are the business research folks. This is our client who wants to buy sound bar. Now we'll ask them, okay, what is your requirement? Why you want to buy this sound bar? What would you be doing with this? What is your budget, right? What all specifications you would be needing, right? We'll ask everything and then we'll start the research, right? We'll be in a simple way, we're looking at, okay, maybe these are specifications, we'll just create a table out of it and then say, okay, these are the options, right? Now when you will do it, right, and this is very simple example I am taking, we will say, suppose we will be giving what is needed, but will also be, when we would research, we will also find something that might not be told to us, but because we know the why, we would know that what options could be really interesting. For example, the client might have said that I would need, say, Dolby, right? Now the new thing is Dolby Atmos, right? We would definitely be checking with the client in this case that okay, do you really want only Dolby or Dolby Atmos is the new thing? Do you need that? In that course, the client might say, I was not aware of this new offering. Can you tell me more about it? So this is one thing that we have actually changed the specification of the client as well. Then the client would have said, okay, I want to buy it maybe in this month. Through our research, we would know that, okay, this is good time, but the better time would be next 2 months when this all Flipkart sale and then Amazon sale would come, right? So we can tell, are you really needing this in this particular time frame, or do you have some flexibility, right? So in a way, what we are trying to do here is doing the research so that our client is getting what he is needing, right? Sometimes he might not have thought of, and through research we are proposing, right? Now this is a very simple example. Here everything you understood, which was in plain English when you researched. Many a times the information is in front of you, but you cannot really make sense out of it. The example is when you look at the medical reports, right? If you are a layman, this is written in plain English, right? You will read it and there are 10 such reports, but you will not understand, right? Why I took this example? Because just knowing does not mean we can understand everything, right? Then comes the pharmaceutical part, research part, business research part, and the pharmaceutical part. So in a way, the example, the simple example that I gave, now make it 100%, 100 times complex, plus bring that medical understanding as well, right? One example is like client now says that, okay, I want to launch a drug 5 years from now in this particular patient segment. Now tell me where I would be launching it, what will be the market landscape, right? Now you would go and look at all the information, right? Lot of information may not make sense to a normal person because this is such a complex medical terminologies and language, right? You would go to these research papers, those company websites and then earnings calls and everything, trying to find the right information in a way. If I have to really take that sound for example, solving the client's problem, painting the word that okay, how this 2028 would look like when you would be launching. Information is coming from tens and thousands of papers or sources you would have gone through, created a visual that would eventually make sense, is understandable to the client, right? So that all is pharmaceutical business research, where you are actually using your expertise, experience, right? You have that acumen, right? And you can go through a lot of papers, research papers, and every other sources, create a sense out of it, and then probably creating in a way that is consumable for the person who would have asked for it.
No, beautifully explained. I mean, going from such a simple example of buying a soundbar to doing the pharmaceutical research, and I mean, I'm sure it's a very complicated field. And yeah, that was really good. Thank you.
Okay, challenges. First of all, when you are in college and you are nearing to that placement cycle, one challenge I think many of us can relate to is going into those interviews and then not cracking in the first go, right? Or maybe reaching to a particular stage and then maybe not making it to the finalist, right? So that is in a way prepares us into the corporate journey, right? So by the time we get placed, we would have seen some sort of heartbreaking already, right? And then coming out of it and then preparing for the next placement. So that is one thing how college prepares us. So many of us would have experience or maybe experiencing, right? Unless we are making it in the first interview itself. That is one. Now when you go into the corporate field, when you start, one thing is like in the college you have all have that those assignments and a date. You are supposed to meet, right, those deadlines, but here in corporate those are even more important. So you have to really work backwards. That is another. And then third is like the stakeholders, right? Earlier the assignment was yours. If you are not able to do it, then you are responsible. And here you are in a bigger team, right? The things that are on stake are even bigger, right? And you may be trying to do a part, but then you have to really get things done through a multiple stakeholders, right? So that is a learning, I would say. And you always find a way out. You always plan things that way. But again, initially it could be a challenge. Third thing is like when you are into, again, because my first company was not consulting, it was into again the product marketing. But if I talk about the business research and consulting, which I am a part of right now, one thing is like here you work on projects, right? In the beginning, you were given a particular project. I am talking about my journey. So you were given a project and you will not have any clue that okay, this is one problem, and then you start reading about it, right? And you will, after a while, you will feel really a little comfortable, right? That okay, I have now understood this particular concept, and then you are going deeper and deeper and building your expertise, experience, and then you start feeling good about it, right? And then you feel that okay, there's something now I know, and guess what? The thing is, the project is over. You are given another project. Whatsoever you would have learned, right, about that particular concept, there's a new problem, right? Again, there are benefits out of there are benefits in this scenario, but again, this is not a linear curve that okay, I will be doing this, I have learned this, now I will be going deeper over a period of time. But here, the problems you are solving is really there are a breadth of problems, right? So one done, the next is again you are starting from the scratch, right? And when you grew up in the ladder, there are so many such teams working, right? And you are supposed to really work with everyone giving your inputs, right? Not really going that deep, but still able to help, right? So in a way, this is, I would not say a challenge. This is how things work in consulting and corporate, and we all have to learn, and we learn over time. Okay, so generative AI is really a thing which is really close to me, and I have been following it for long, and many of us are in the same boat, right? One thing is like, should we be scared? I would say we should not be scared, but we should not be careless either, right? Things are happening, and you should keep an eye, right? Because things will not remain same, or the way we used to do the work, it is changing, right? So we cannot really remain the same, doing the same stuff in the same way and then expecting the same results. This will not happen. An example to it, right? If suppose we were proposing a particular time for a particular thing to be done to our client, if we again propose the same time, they would come back to us and question that why now, right? So if we are putting the same time or proposing the same time, we should have a reason to it of not using the newer techniques that have come. Okay, so this is one. The other is like, are they going to replace us 100%? Not the thing, right? At least with the current advancement that at least we are seeing. Why? Because in a way they are our assistant, right? And like any other assistant, suppose we were doing 1, 2, 3. Now through assistant we are able to do 1, 2. The job is not to really keep doing 1, 2 by ourselves. Rather use assistant to do 1, 2, do still 3, and then add 4 and 5. So that overall, what was the expectation? Expectation was 3. You raise the expectation till 5, right? And thinking from the pharma perspective, like someone who has the pharma background and not the technical background, in a way this is actually helping us. And why? Because many of things that we had thought, we wished that we should be able to do, but we didn't have the technical know-how earlier. For example, coding, right? Now through this we can do these things as well, right? So I'm just being a little centered around the pharma background guys, and this is definitely one thing that I have myself found very, very useful with these techniques, is that using generative AI for your own good, right? Taking help for the things which you were not able to do before, right? This is one. The other is like, definitely a takeaway, you cannot do the same way, right, that you were in 2020, right? So you have to really evolve your ways of working as well. You have to really take help from generative AI. And then third is because things are evolving at a pace that you know today something and tomorrow things change. Just taking an example, till few days or few weeks back, the concept of uploading the PDFs, not PDFs but any document, and getting result out of it was not in a way possible through at least the most known LLMs, large language models. But now Perplexity is giving you that option as well, right? So are you aware of that, right? So you have to be really on your toes to really know what is now possible and what is possible tomorrow, what is possible day after, right? So, and then using it, making your own hands dirty, and then trying, and then really, because right now this is a technology, the application is on you, how you're using it, right? They are, even not everyone knows that, okay, what is possible with this. It is us who should be testing it and finding the applications, right? So unless you make your own hands dirty, you will not be able to. And also, if you keep doing the way you were doing, you will not be able to explore its true potential, right? One thing is like, again, because you are into pharma, and then I also talked about the medical language and the complexities, right? it will help you get up to the speed faster, right? It will help you to really scan now. If you are able to do 100 pages earlier, you can do 10,000 pages now, right? So are you actually doing it? There were some repositories that you always wished that should have existed before, were not possible. Now the time is through these techniques that you can make those repositories, those tools that you always wished, right? So in a way, don't be only used by the technology, use it, because they are your assistant, you are not their assistant. Got it. No rocket science, I would say. Don't feel that I am supposed to really know things which are just out of word. Rather, we would expect the freshers to really be smart enough to solve basic problems in the beginning, right? Should have that specific, I would say, normal analytical skills, right? And the basic understanding that is expected out of anyone from a specific field. Suppose if someone is a computer science background person, the basic understanding that would be expected from the computer science thing would be expected in a way from a pharma background person as well, right? So about drugs, about diseases, about treatment, what would in a way already covered during the degree and postgraduate curriculum is all expected, right? So anyone who is not knowing something about very basic about a drug or a treatment is something, my advice would be to really go back and really polish those basic understanding at least. So this is because again we do not expect that that the nitty-gritties and really deep and science it would be known in the beginning itself, but we do not really expect anybody not knowing the sense and the basic stuff, basic math, basic analytics, right? So probably keep checking your skills where you are. There are n number of opportunities. If you just really Google, just keep testing your skills where you are, and then work towards that. Okay, what is still lacking? So this is again no rocket science, just a basic of everything what is expected, and then it is again easier said, and but it is really very important, the communication, right? And which is the single most important I would say attribute that we see. And then the other thing is because someone who will be coming from say pharma background is expected to know what is at a macro level happening around you, right? So what concepts are bothering the industry, or what is the latest and greatest, so that it shows your genuine interest in this field, right? If you do not know, then it means that you are not really concerned about the industry where you are trying to get into. Okay, so when it is fresher, the expectation is not the experience, right? Because the expectation is the same in what I mentioned in the previous answer, which is like basic of pharma, basic macro trend, basic analytics, basic maths, and basic understanding, right? So that is what is expected. Now there could be a chance that a fresher applied in their placement season but could not make it, right? But these folks really want to get into the consulting or pharma research or business research. My advice is take what you get at that point in time, right? There is no point in not taking and then keep preparing without a job, right? That is not ideal. But you should be knowing what you really want. Suppose my goal is to get into pharma consulting and I got a sales job, just making it up. I'll take a sales job, right? But then I will not lose the connect that I had with some of those recruiters, or maybe through some of those alumni, right? Now I will keep preparing. After 6 months, 8 months, 10 months, 12 months, 18 months, at whatsoever time frame, I would be able to hopefully crack. And if you are preparing, you will definitely, right? One risk that you would, or one dilemma that you will feel at that point in time, I am hoping that eventually you are able to crack it, right? By keeping that motivation level high and then keep preparing for that one break. Suppose it was 2022 and one of your classmates was able to crack a particular company and you were not, and you get into the sales or any other job which you really did not like at that point in time, and you really wanted to get into this field, right? Now when you crack it, maybe after 1.5 year, you will start from level 1, maybe, right? So those initial small sacrifices that might come your way for your bigger liking, right? You should be able to do so, right? You should not be really thinking, not compromising on that part, because if you really want to get into one other field, maybe marketing, maybe sales, maybe other, then this again holds true. Maybe you wanted to get into marketing, but you get into the consulting. So you keep preparing for marketing, right? Eventually 1 year after that, you will again be starting, right, from that entry level, right? So those sacrifices we have to make. One specific example, I know a CEO of a particular company, that's an MNC. It's a very big company, and that CEO was into R&D.
Okay.
Initially for the first 15 years that was into R&D, but this CEO really wanted to get into this CEO role, but he knew that, okay, while I can be can reach to the highest position in the R&D department, I may not be able to make it to the CEO position. So after spending 10 years, this person actually switched into corporate,
Okay.
right? Started 4 designations lower, right? But he knew what he wanted,
Okay.
and eventually became the CEO, right? So again, those small sacrifices we all have to make if we want to really get into something which we really want, right? It could be, if it is pharma consulting business itself, then I would say keep trying, and even if that means a small sacrifice in the beginning, be ready to make it. But yeah, keep trying and keep learning.
So in a way, it's never too late to start.
In a way, it's not really late, never late to start, but again, if you are in one field for long and you have to switch, maybe say 7 years after, right, into say consulting, and your current role is totally different, let's make it that way, right? Then you will be making some sacrifice for sure. You should be knowing what you are doing, right? Because if you are switching after 7 years and you are starting from some like from a designation which is not equivalent to your current one, then you should be knowing that I want to go here. It should not be like a blind sort of try, not knowing. If it is a conscious decision, then yes, if there could be some sacrifices, right, and you're okay with that, then do it. So in a way, but early is better, right? If you really want to do something in the, like, in the beginning itself what I want to do, right, where I want to be, then the early you start is better. But again, there is never I would say never late to start a good thing that you really wanted to do in your life.
Thank you so much, sir.
Well, thank you so much. It was really great talking to you, and I hope people find it useful.
I hope so too.